Welcome back to the Dallas Mavericks update, brought to you by dopecontent.com. Yeah. We are here with a special guest, as you see on the screen. He has been on the platform before, always showing love to the dope content community. He is a multiple-time Radio Hall of Famer. He is one of the voices of the AAC. So if you at the Mavericks game, most likely if you look up on the voice, if you look up on the Jumbotron, you're going to see him. You're going to see DJ Ivy. Shout out to DJ Ivy as well. It is the one and only Chris Arnold in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much for joining. And before we get into it, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just ripping and running. These are the good old days. Enjoy these times. The journey is the reward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're going to get right into it. As you see on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube or dopecontent.com, the title for this is we are making our NBA Finals predictions. Now, I'm shooting 100% right now. First couple of series. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I had the last series. I had the Mavs in 6. They won in 5. So, but you know, they still won.
I got that technical problem too. I said Mavs in 7. They did it in 5.
Yeah. So
I got 6 before and 6 before.
Yeah. So 6 and 6. It was easy. Mavs took care of business. I'm glad I didn't do any type of betting on the games in the last series because they would have got me right there. But it's cool. The Mavs are in the NBA Finals. They are the NBA Western Conference champions, ladies and gentlemen. Who would have thought? Chris, did you see it at the beginning?
Nobody thought that at the start of the season.
I didn't think so as well. And getting to them at the beginning of the season, let's kind of go back. They made a signing with like Grant Williams, the Seth Currys, who I personally love. I love Seth Curry. I wish he was still on this team. But me personally, I don't know if I talked to you. I think it was KG I talked to during the Fan Phenom last summer when they signed Grant Williams, and he was trying to hype him up, and I just wasn't feeling it at all. I just wasn't feeling the hype. And I said I didn't understand why Mavericks fans love Grant Williams so much. Are we that desperate for a signing that Grant Williams was just like this big major signing to us? So when they traded Grant Williams, I personally was happy. No offense to Grant Williams. I love him as a player. I just didn't think he was going to fit on this team. And I didn't think he was going to last past the trade deadline. Do you have any thoughts on the early version of the Mavericks team this year?
I was hoping that he would fit. I thought it was very impressive. Nico Harrison, I was high on Derek Lively the second.
Yeah.
And a lot of people weren't, but I was. And I'd known that Nico had said, hey, I didn't draft Derek Lively second from his Duke resume. I drafted AAU Derek Lively.
Right.
And people don't understand this. Anybody that just downgrade the fact that Nico Harrison came from Nike, they don't know nothing about basketball. Because when he got hired as general manager, there were people all over the league insiders going, damn, Nico, people have wanted Nico for years. He kept saying no. So I knew, and I've been knowing Nico forever.
Yeah.
But it's like, you got to know people and you got to know the agents. And he's done all of that with Nike basketball, being the vice president of Nike Basketball North America. So he had relationships. He had to judge the talent, because if you're going to spend millions of dollars like a shoe company will, just like an NBA team will, you can't be throwing money away. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So you knew these guys from high school on, including Kyrie. He's been knowing Kyrie since high school.
Right.
But back to the start of the season, I like the fact they got Derek Jones Jr. People didn't even know anything about him. I knew he won the slam dunk contest in 2020. What a lot of people don't know, he goes up against Aaron Gordon. Do you know that Aaron changed his number from what it was in Miami when he went to Denver to number 50? Because he felt like he deserved a 50 from the judges when Derek Jones Jr. beat him. I told Derek Jones, I said, first thing I want to say, I said, you know what, you made AG change his number. He goes, I ain't had nothing to do with it. He just showed up. But yeah, I love those other moves. I wasn't like, I was like, I didn't dislike Grant Williams. I just was trying to figure out what they're going to do with him.
Right.
And again, he kind of did not make himself a presence on the roster. In other words, if you're going to talk that talk in practice, you got to back it up in the games, and he wasn't showing up big in the games. With that being said, this is where you have to also give Nico major credit.
Right.
He was able to make the adjustment. There are some GMs and coaches or whatever, executives, they won't fortify their roster to the trade deadline, or they will be stuck with a mistake and then be saying, well, you know, it is what it is, and we just have to figure out some other things. Everybody who's been following the Mavericks knows that they didn't have that many draft picks to barter with.
Right.
Nico's Very, very creative. When he made those trades and brought in Daniel Gafford and brought in PJ Washington, did you know he had to utilize some picks from Oklahoma City that we didn't even have? Oh yeah, even with the Derek Lively situation.
Oh, it cut him off. It cut him off. It cut him off.
Bruh.
It cut him off. What happened?
You can't do, and you wish you could, and you trade exception and cap space. There's always a way if you try, and there are more tools in the box than the average fan has that GMs know, and agents know this too. So give major props to Nico Harrison for adjusting to the situation and fortifying this roster at the trade deadline to take it to where it is now.
Yeah, shout out to Nico Harrison. Nico has been killing it ever since he's been here. I mean, making the
Which
moves.
is why they gave him a contract extension. Well deserved.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Nico came in first year, instantly made trades. You know, he traded Porzingis. That's not an easy thing to do, to trade your second star. And
not only that, this was brilliant about the trade. Again, they liked him as a person, they liked him as a player, but the injury history was what made it didn't make much sense.
Right.
And what was hard for him to do, which was a brilliant thing, they said the contract was toxic because it was a maxed out contract on a player that was often hurt. So who would want to trade for him? He was able to get Spencer Dinwiddie, Davis Bertans, made the move, got it done.
And that led them to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago, when
Right.
everybody said, "Oh, that's a dumb move. I don't know how you did that, or why you did that. Why would you trade Porzingis for Dinwiddie and Bertans?" I remember people talking down on that, including me. I was questioning. I was like, "Wait, man, what if Porzingis does get healthy later on?" So I had my questions and doubts about that trade as well, and I have to eat crow on that. Another thing I have to eat crow on.
I give you credit on that. Look, I give you credit on that because there are people to this day who like to double down and won't admit they learned something new and own it.
Right.
You know what I tell them?
Right.
I got receipt.
Right, exactly. And so another thing I have to eat crow on at the beginning of this year is Dante Exum. When they signed Dante Exum, I was not a fan. You know, there was certain Maverick medias that was trying to explain that Dante is shooting a better percentage overseas and he still is great defender, yada, yada. I wasn't trying to hear it. I was like, man, come on, man. Dante Exum, yeah, he's cool on defense, yada, but he's not that great. We need offense as well to help Kyrie and help Luka, you know, get some of that weight off their back. That was my thought process at the time. I didn't see it in Grant Williams. I didn't see it in Derek Lively. I didn't see it in Dante Exum. I didn't see it in Derek Jones. I said Derek Jones is great on defense and he brings athleticism, but I didn't see him as an offensive guy that's doing what he's doing.
You didn't see the three.
Didn't see it. Didn't see it at all. Dante Exum, didn't see it at all. So the fact that Dante came in and he was huge for the Mavericks throughout the season. Now the playoffs been a little shaky for him, but that's cool.
I give you a hint on that playoff situation. It's been kind of shaky because people don't know this, but he had an injured finger. Now you would think, oh, that's no big deal, and they don't really talk about it because you got to play with that.
Right.
But at the same time, it does affect your dribbling. It does affect your shot. I'm just keeping it real.
Okay, so breaking news right there on our platform because we didn't know that here on this platform. So, but yeah, Dante Exum was huge for the Mavericks throughout the season. So that's another thing that I have to give. Shout out to Nico Harrison. Shout out to Jason Kidd. And I have to eat crow on that.
Let's shout out to Jason Kidd. Can we stop and give J Kidd his love?
Everybody owes Jason, well, not everybody, but most people owe Jason Kidd an apology. I've already did a video saying that people should apologize. I was one of the biggest Jason Kidd supporters. Once I found out Rick Carlisle was gone, I got on this podcast and said, I want Jason Kidd. They end up getting Jason Kidd. I supported him through his first year. Last year, everybody was turning on him. I supported him all the way up until the tanking, when they tanked, which actually is a smart idea because that led to Derek Lively. But they tanked the season, and in my mind, I just didn't like it. I was kind of feeling how Luka was feeling. Like, come on, man, you got to compete.
Can we talk about the tank for a minute?
Let's go.
Let's talk about the tank because as soon as it happened, I had to answer a lot of questions for a lot of people saying, I can't believe. When y'all know damn well, all through the year, including the Spurs, there were teams that were, not giving it their best because they wanted to be in the lot.
Right.
The Mavericks are not trying to get in the lot. They're actually trying to get into the play-in or the playoffs. But here's the problem. Oklahoma City was trying to get through the play-in for the first time in their history. These young guys are on the move.
Mm-hmm.
And it came down to one game. One game. That's why the last two games of the season for the Mavericks, it was like, okay, we're gonna try to do what we can, but we're not gonna, you know, you can call it tank or whatever you want. They like, we cannot try real hard.
Right.
Here's why. Oklahoma City was gonna play Memphis the last game of the regular season. Memphis had already locked up the number 2 seed in the West. They had no reason, I'm talking about Memphis,
Right.
no reason to risk injury and try hard to win that game.
True.
If Memphis did what they're supposed to do, which is beat Oklahoma City in Memphis, the Mavericks are automatically in the play-in.
True.
That's all it was. But you could not guarantee Memphis would try. That's why the NBA didn't do anything but fine. But you can't say, okay, tell Memphis to try hard.
Right.
But everybody's trying to look at the Mavericks because the Mavericks were keeping it real and saying, okay, we would lose our first round pick possibly to the Knicks if we don't make the if we make the play-in or if we don't make the playoffs. So it's like, okay, we had to take the pick your point.
Right.
But again, the reason why it had to be done that way was because nobody could guarantee Memphis is going to try hard and win.
Yeah.
And guess what? Oklahoma City blew out Memphis because Memphis played the end of the bench.
They did. And it
So
worked
again,
out.
for everybody who's lost their mind, oh, they need to try and win every game. Tell that to the Spurs who got Wemby.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it worked out because they end up getting Derek Lively out of that deal. So shout out to the Mavericks, Nico Harris, and Jason Kidd. Going back to that story with Jason Kidd, I did start to turn on him after that because in my mind, I didn't think that he utilized JaVale McGee correctly last year. In my mind, I didn't think he utilized Christian Wood last year.
I'm glad you brought that up so I can give a quick education. Not just you personally, but there was a lot of people that they just didn't understand the deal. So let me explain this, the wisdom and the genius of Jason Kidd. When they got JaVale McGee, it was because, and by the way, this is the same thing for people who just be hating on Dwight Powell for no reason at all. Dwight Powell don't demand to start. Dwight Powell, Jason Kidd didn't start Dwight Powell. Rick Carlisle did because the analytics showed that pick and pop, pick and roll, alley-oop that Luka can do or do a little bunny shot himself.
Right.
And what opens up the corner. Rick did the numbers, and Dwight Powell was the most efficient guy on that. And he had a high basketball IQ, so he knew Luka's movements. But you can't do that in the playoffs because Dwight's too short.
Right.
So let's move to JaVale McGee. So they bring in a guy who, on paper, okay, he learned some things with Golden State. He learned some things with the Lakers. But the IQ wasn't there for the Mavericks and Luka. So he had to keep him on the bench because he wasn't ready. In other words, he wanted to either dribble one time, whatever it was. He just could not get it done. And so Jason Kidd said, okay, we're going to start you. We're going to start benching you because it ain't working. The chemistry ain't there. It ain't working. Christian Wood, nice guy.
Yeah.
This guy, as everybody, he's a walking bucket. Guess what? Zero commitment to defense. He don't know defense, don't care to learn defense. They were actually helping him with his defensive assignments during the game. Let me tell you how bad this is on defense. If you don't commit to defense, you can be a walking bucket. When you get to the playoffs, the first thing the other coach does for the other team is put you in a pick and roll blender, put you in foul trouble, and you are 20 points underground before the playoffs even begin. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you count on the 20 points a game, you ain't got them no more. So Jason Kidd said, we cannot be dependent on him. He don't want to commit to the defense. He's not trying.
Okay, so my thing.
But guess what? Media experts, all the pundits, the guys with opinions, they see the bucket, but they don't understand the defense. They don't see him how his commitment to practice. You see what I'm saying? And you can't just give him a spot in front of guys who went to the Western Conference Finals. That's called coaching.
Yeah.
There are things that people don't know that a coach knows, and you got to just live with it. But what drove a lot of people crazy is that Jason Kidd at the press conferences and what they saw on the sidelines, he's channeling Phil Jackson. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear what he says after the game when he's being philosophical. They'll appreciate that now because he'll say, you know what? We got to take each game one at a time and enjoy these moments because it's hard to get to the finals. You don't know how if you'll ever get here again. Right now, that sounds like wisdom. But
Right.
what he was saying back then when nobody died, they're like, what the hell?
Jeez.
When he says, I'm watching just like you, what the hell? But let me tell you what he's doing. Because I covered Tom Landry for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
10 years. Very stoic. No expression. We got them rings, so nobody questions it. Jerry fires and brings in Jimmy Johnson. First year, Jimmy's all animated. He's screaming and smacking and clapping. One win. Oh, he's in over his head. He's a college coach. He don't know nothing about the NFL. 2 rings later, and to this day, we need to coach like Jimmy around here. It's style. It has nothing to do with IQ, coaching acumen. It's styles. Number 1, Luka loves him. Number 2, Kyrie loves him. If you're in the NBA, if your superstars don't love you, you out of there. Giannis loves him. LeBron loves him.
I'm so glad you said Giannis because people think that him and Giannis didn't like each other, and I've been saying for years that they loved each other. I'm so glad you said that.
Giannis told Jason Kidd, Giannis was in tears when they fired Jason Kidd. Giannis said, I will make them bring you back. And J. Kidd said, no, this is business. This is how it goes sometimes. And what it was the end of the bench. This was so wild. There's so many wrong information about Jason Kidd. Even when it didn't work out in Brooklyn, he got fired in Brooklyn. No, he didn't get fired in Brooklyn. He became the first rookie coach in history to take a team and win Game 7 on the road when they knocked off Toronto. After they won that series, and they, the next round they didn't make it, they got knocked out by Miami.
Right.
Well, he came in 4th place in Coach of the Year. What he was telling the front office was, these are the moves we need to make. And they said, no, you stay in your lane, just coach. Meanwhile, his friends on Wall Street bought the Bucks, and they told him, if you're unhappy here, we will gladly hire you to the 12-win Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
Guess what? Brooklyn kept messing around. Jay said, okay, I'll quit. I'll leave, go to the Bucks. And they said, wait a minute, you can't leave us. Milwaukee Bucks, we want draft picks. Swear to God.
Yeah.
They had to come up with a draft pick to get Jason Kidd. So for everybody who's talking, Jason Kidd don't know how to coach. Shut up. I got receipts. And again, it's all styles. It has nothing to do with do you know what you're doing. Jason Kidd has always told the media from the get-go, the regular season gets you prepared for the test, which is the playoffs.
Right.
So what he's doing, and when you're saying, why is this guy out there? He don't need to be in that game. Jason Kidd is not only watching to see what he can or cannot do.
Right.
But guess what? It allows him, when we get to the playoffs, yo, dog, I'm only going to have you play a couple of minutes because the matchups don't work. And that guy will accept that. Derek Lively just did it this week, explaining about how smart Jason Kidd is, and he wants to see you in challenging situations to see how you can do, and then we can correct that if you come across that again. How many coaches will do that? And Jason Kidd does that because there's not enough practice time in a regular season. Right. But guess what? The experts don't know that. All they're doing is saying, he's standing there like a sphinx on the side. No emotion. He's not arguing. How about this? He's not arguing with the refs because if he argues with the refs, then Luka can say, you do it too.
I can do it, yeah.
Somebody's got to calm Luka down. Yeah. Have you noticed how Kyrie is chill? Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that Luka's like, that's my guy? Have you noticed that Luka, I'm going to tell you something about Jason Kidd that he wasn't even the coach yet. When Luka is second year, getting all these technicals, and we're getting down to the last week of the season, and everybody's wondering if he's going to get suspended the game for all these techs.
Yeah.
Dirk was talking to some people, and he said, you know what? Luka needs to do it like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd will come to the ref, and he do it like this. He said, what it is Luka doesn't know. You can't embarrass the refs in front of the crowd.
Right.
You can say the same thing. He said, Jason Kidd's got to. This is for Jason Kidd. This Rick Carlisle wasn't even gone yet.
Yeah, they too sensitive, man.
These are things that people don't know, but want to get clicks online, or they have their opinions, but their opinions are not solidly based in knowledge.
Right.
I mean, they got to have some wisdom to go with that knowledge. Knowledge is okay, but wisdom means you've been somewhere with it to apply that knowledge.
Yeah. So
So
now,
don't, like I said, don't get me get started because I got the receipt and I watch people get it wrong, and then like I give you credit because you're like, I was wrong. I'm
yeah,
gonna eat the crow, move along. I've
yeah,
learned something. There are guys that just insist. Jason Kidd don't know how to coach. It's all Luca.
yeah.
Why is Luca? Or they tread in fear. They will traffic in fear, which is, Luca's gonna leave. How
Oh,
about
I'm so tired of hearing that. They said it about
Luca?
Kyrie this past summer. Kyrie's gonna be up out of here. Yeah, I'm
Let,
tired
let
of
me
hearing
just
that,
let
man.
me tell you the Kyrie first. Let me tell you the Kyrie first. No, I'm gonna tell you Luca first. Let me tell you the Kyrie.
Hmm.
On the Luca, uh, Luca absolutely loved Jason Kidd.
Right,
Game recognized game. Luca's favorite player of all time is LeBron James. LeBron James swears by Jason Kidd.
right.
Okay, and then Luca also Jason understands him. He sees Picasso. He had to go through it himself.
Hmm.
So he understands watching Luca try things. Rick Carlisle said this. He said, I played with Larry Bird. I can see the genius of Luca Doncic. But Lord, about to give me a heart attack. Because, Luca, Carlisle liked to X and O's in the
Yeah,
middle of a game. And he had to turn his back and watch Luca. He's like, this man going to give me an ulcer.
yeah.
But Jay Kidd understands all that. And he's got to let Luca try things and live with the results. Let's go to the other part of the equation. Before Nico was even a part of the Dallas Mavericks, when he was still with Nike, Luca had a Nike deal, European Nike deal.
Hmm.
His deal was about to be up, and every company around the world was chasing Luca. Luca wanted to sign with Jordan. Nico made it happen, and he wasn't even a part of the Dallas Mavericks. So there's that relationship with Nico, who got him where he wanted to go with the shoe. It's Nico and Jason Kidd were a package deal.
Yeah.
By the way, you ever go to Luca's social media on his Twitter account?
Uh-huh.
You see his avatar is Kobe and Gigi, his daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luca's met Kobe several times, but a week before the helicopter crash,
They was in
Kobe
LA. Yeah.
and Gigi were at the game, and Kobe was talking to him in Slovenia, and he was talking with Kobe. That was a picture from that game.
Hmm.
So he absolutely loves and admires Kobe. Do you know Kobe's two best friends in business, Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka, who's now the general manager of the Lakers? That was his agent.
Mm.
Rob Pelinka, under the advisement of Kobe Bryant, hired Jason Kidd to be the defensive coordinator for the Lakers.
Right.
All right. Nico and J Kidd came to the Mavericks as a package deal because of the Kyrie influence. The Kobe influence.
Right.
So Luke ain't going nowhere. There's more than just he wants to win. He ain't an AAU guy. He's Slovenian. There's some loyalty involved here. He's completely happy.
Exactly.
So here's the other part. Let's go to the Kyrie part. Kyrie been knowing Nico since he was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Nico got him his first shoe deal with Nike. J Kidd is Kyrie's favorite player of all time.
Right.
He was a New Jersey Nets fan as a little kid wearing Jason Kidd's number growing up. He shows up out the blue at Jason Kidd's Hall of Fame ceremony because he admires Jason Kidd. They became friends. By the way, they're born on the same day. They're both chill.
About that. They are.
They're both point guard. They understand each other.
Right.
So anybody, and here's the kicker. When they were talking that stuff about Kyrie gonna leave when the season's over, then they make the playoffs, and you saw him on TV at the Lakers game talking to LeBron or whatever before the game started. Did you see the hat Kyrie was wearing? I just started
South
grinning.
Oak Cliff.
Boom!
South Oak Cliff.
Back-to-back football state champ. I said, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Guess where he got the hat?
Where did he get that hat?
Big T Bazaar.
He actually went up there and got it from there?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Kyrie is embedded. Kyrie is the real deal.
I remember seeing the South Oak Cliff hat because I took a picture and put it on Facebook, and I said, this man ain't going nowhere wearing a South Oak Cliff hat.
That was your hint. And
Yeah.
when they asked him about it later, they said, well, we saw you on TV with and all these Lakers fans. Who's coming to the Lakers? He said, I'm recruiting LeBron to the Mavericks. What you talking about?
There you go. So, like I said, I still, in my mind, it's a far-fetched thought. I still think LeBron might sneak his way to Dallas before he retires.
It ain't impossible. If you look at J.J. Redick's last podcast, and by the way, I think, in my opinion, Lakers are the smart move they're trying to make is to sign J.J. Redick as new head coach.
Yeah.
People are like, well, how can he do that? He's so young. That's what they did with Pat Riley. Pat Riley was just doing their radio broadcast and was like an assistant. It's kind of like a Brad Davis for the Mavericks. He does the radio with Chuck Cooperstein, former Mavericks player.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Riley, former Laker. He's doing some radio and he was doing some player development stuff as an assistant coach.
He has a podcast with LeBron.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, there's relationship there. Yeah. Everybody knows JJ is smart. He's smart as hell. Coach K, who he played for Duke. Coach K was Duke coach. He's the advisor for the Lakers. I mean, it makes too much sense. So again, it's possible that LeBron loves Kyrie and he loves Luka. It's not impossible. If he were to leave the Lakers, that would be, I would think, a logical possibility. I'm not saying it is because I don't know.
Right. And then a simple fact that he won't have to put in those minutes and that effort that he's having to do still in LA, even though he has an Anthony Davis and all these other folks, D'Angelo Russell and all them next to him. Christian Wood. Let's go back to Christian Wood, right? But Christian Wood, he really didn't help himself
this year. He didn't play 1 minute of the playoffs because he had surgery, but he didn't ever have an effect with the Lakers.
He didn't help himself this year.
And again, I like Christian Wood as a person.
Right.
But you cannot say just because he can play offense that he can help you in the playoffs. I've said this a million times. They put you they hunt you, and they get you in foul trouble, and all those points you scored in the regular season are gone. You can't help your team because you're sitting on the bench.
So to play devil's,
get that out your brain. Get this Christian Wood thing out of your brain.
So to play devil's advocate before we move on to the current Mavs about Christian Wood, that Mavs team in general, especially in the front court, was one of the worst defenses in the league at that time. And if you look at the numbers, Christian Wood was actually your best rim protector when he was on the court. So if you know he's going to score and he's going to at least get you 2 blocks.
Not if he's in foul trouble. And you don't know, again, they were helping him with his assignments during the games. Stop making excuses for him. When you look at the numbers, and we're talking about practice, we're talking about these coaches know this man backwards. You talk about every team he's been on, why they didn't work. And by the way, there were people trying to say when the Mavericks let him go, there's the kid blackballing him. He can't get a job.
Did they say that?
It was crazy.
Really? I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, we got receipts online.
I remember him. I remember, a couple of tweets from people that I don't even follow, but people were saying, "Oh, Christian Woods, he got some type of beef with Jason Kidd, and that's all that." I remember seeing that. Beef. I ain't seen no blackball. Yeah.
No, and again, all that, like I said, a mile or run, travel around the world 10 times before the truth gets out.
Yeah. So
Christian Woods is a walking bucket.
He is.
He's a very nice guy. But he has no commitment to defense. And that's a huge negative in the playoffs. You cannot utilize somebody like that.
And it showed.
You know what? Like I said, you can say, oh, he's a rim protector. Guess what? I can say Dwight Powell has rim running the highest rate. It don't work in the playoffs. That's the first thing they take away.
Yeah, I get the Christian Wood. I still looked at it as the Mavs needed a big man in the paint, and you say JaVale McGee.
They got him
you
now.
know better than me. They got him now, but back then.
Why are we dwelling on Christian Wood?
I don't.
Since they got him now,
I don't even know how we got down this conversation.
You A-Crow and others, you have a hard time doing that leg on them crow lips. You have a hard time eating that part of the bird.
Yeah. So.
I understand. People, like I said, there are people who are not even you. They still won't let that go.
Yeah, I mean, I let it go. I just wanted to play devil's advocate because we were talking about Jason Kidd and how he went up and down with the fans and how the fans and the media owe him an apology. So I wanted to bring up some of his negative moments in the, via Twitter and whatever. And I wanted to go back, that was going to lead into this year with the positives, right? Even though it was some negatives this year, where they kind of started off after the trade, after the All-Star break, they came out slow. I believe they lost 7 straight.
No, they lost 5 out of 6, and of course, it was a shame because the very first one they lost, they was on the road at Cleveland, and that was a 3-quarter shot.
Oh, that was.
And
crazy.
then they lost Then they beat Toronto. Then they lost at Boston, got blown out.
Right.
Then they come back and they lose to Indiana, and that's the game. That's the game that they said, "Oh boy!" And then they had to play Miami with no Jimmy Butler, and they lost. And that's when they had the meeting and said, "All right, are we gonna play or not?" And they went back right after that, and believe it or not, they became the number one defense in the NBA the rest of the season. And guess what? They never lost 2 games in a row the rest of the way, including the playoffs, except the last 2 games of the regular season where they were playing nobody in the rotation.
Right.
So imagine with their rotation from that losing 5 out of 6 games, they never lost 2 in a row.
And shout out
That's why they never had a losing streak.
Shout out to Markieff Morris as well for speaking up in that meeting, because a lot of people don't know about this. And I talked about this on my last podcast, Mavericks Update. Markieff Morris, you don't see him play, but he means a lot to that team, and he brings a lot to that team. And I know you can't elaborate on that. So
he came over with the Kyrie trade, and he's like the OG in the locker room. I give it to you like this: even though he hadn't played significant minutes this year, it's kind of like way back in the day. You know John Sally is right. He played for the Pistons and the Chicago Bulls.
Yep.
One of Phil Jackson's favorites when he was with the Bulls. And when Phil goes to the Lakers, he brings over John Sally. And Sally told me, I've been covering all these things for years, and Sally's one of my guys. And Sally said, I said, what you doing playing for the Lakers? You're supposed to be retired. Kitty said, man, Phil gave me the call. He said, my job is to have a locker next to Kobe. That is my job. I'm there for the wisdom. I'm there to calm him down. I'm there to be the old head in the locker room. That's basically what Markieff Morris is doing.
Yeah.
You got to have an older guy, OG.
Right.
Who got the wisdom to help the young guys tell them some things that the coaches can't.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And he's brilliant at that. Markieff is a great guy. And by the way, which leads me to the Kyrie Luka relationship. This one reporter after one of the games, I guess it was at the Philadelphia game, maybe, or the Denver game back when Kyrie did the left hand.
Yeah.
She said, Luka, you guys like Batman and Superman here. He said, no, he's the Batman and I'm Robin.
Right.
That's actually a good comp, but the better comp is Luka is Luke Skywalker, and Kyrie is Yoda. And Luke Skywalker got the skills, but Yoda got the ring and the skills. Yoda still pull out that lightsaber and whip your ass.
Right.
And so Luka's like, tell me, how do I get the ring? Tell me more. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
That's their relationship.
Yeah. No,
both of them are bad. I mean, what? Pick your poison.
Right. And Kyrie
But the respect is there. Let me tell you why the respect is there. First of all of Kyrie's peers know he's the most skilled player in the league.
Right.
They just know. And they talk about it all the time. No, it's Kyrie. He's the most skilled player.
Hands down.
Maybe in his generation. And then Luka knows that.
Ever.
And then Kyrie's like, you're not some young guy trying to prove, no, this is my team. No, this is my team. There's no alpha dog stuff. Kyrie's like, you know what? I got my ring. I hit one of these game-winning legendary shots to win the ring.
Right.
I done played with one of the greatest players of all time. I got what you want. I'm here to help you get your one. I'm going to get 2. And they got a great relationship. It's genuine.
He's chilling. He's relaxing. Like, people wanting to keep bringing up stuff that happened 10 years ago. And again, one of the reasons I knew that he was going to make it here, and I got attacked for on Facebook, when he signed here, I had a whole bunch of Laker fans. They were mad because he didn't go with LeBron. So they came in, who's going to play defense? Kyrie's going to leave next summer. And I told him, I said, well, the reason why Kyrie's going to stay is because the media in general is different. And I didn't even throw out Jason Kidd yet. And, Nico, I just said the media. Just the media alone, we're different down here in Texas than what it is on the East Coast. The East Coast is hardcore, and you just upset them a little bit, and they're going to attack you in the media out there versus coming down here. We're not going to be on Kyrie 24/7 asking why you do this, why you do that, why you post this. We don't do that in Texas. So that's one reason that, before we even get into Jason Kidd and all that stuff, that's one reason why I say Kyrie is going to automatically have a better time here than what he did in New York and in Boston. So that was just my little small take on it. But moving forward, getting into it, we're once again at the NBA Finals starts tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when YouTube decides to, post this and release it. It'll either be tomorrow night if you're watching, or it'll be tonight if you're watching. The Boston Celtics, 64-18, number one offense, number one, top offense in the playoffs, and the number one defense in the playoffs. Does anything about this team scare you?
Yes, because first of all, it's going to be a coin flip for a lot of people if you think about it. I got the Mavericks in 6
It's a lot
because
of people
I think they're
picking
the most
Boston.
dangerous team in the NBA. But Boston, they've been number one consistently all year long,
Right.
And they've got unfinished business because it's kind of like Dallas Cowboys press. It's like they're in that town, and a franchise that's a legacy franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 5 times. I'm talking about the core group 5 times. They've been to the NBA Finals. Ain't got nothing to show for it. So their fan base and the media up there, they're like,
That's it.
I don't care how many games y'all win in the regular season. I don't care how far you go in the playoffs. Until you bring back the ring, so they got crazy pressure to win.
Right.
You can't get, in other words, the Mavericks getting to the finals, it was such a big surprise. Hey, it's like, man,
Playing with
what
house
they
money.
did was cleanse a lot of narratives. They cleansed out all those narratives. This kid can't go. Is Luka going to leave? Kyrie don't want to be here. Nico, nothing but tennis shoes. All those things are gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, just play ball.
And
Well, for the Celtics, don't lose one game. There are people in Boston right now. It's like, how did you barely got by Miami? Jimmy Butler wasn't there.
Mhm.
Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell wasn't there.
Mhm.
And look, they've only lost 2 players. They've only lost 12 players. They've only lost 2 playoff games. 2, they've won 12 out of 14 games.
They did.
And people act like, well, you're supposed to. That's what I'm saying. They got pressure. But guess what? The reason they have a problem, the Mavericks may have a problem with them, and they ain't going to be easy out. But the Mavericks are used to that. They done knocked out every team they've beaten. The Mavericks was the lower seed. Clippers, higher seed. Oklahoma City, number 1 seed. Minnesota, number 3 seed.
Yeah.
And all those teams have been near the top the whole year.
But
so here's
3 out of the top 5.
Yeah, so here's where the Mavericks might have a problem with Boston, outside of Boston mentally doing it to themselves. Boston can hit some threes.
They can.
They can spread the floor with or without Porzingis.
Okay, you're back. I don't know what happened.
I'm going to say, let me wrap it up because we've been going kind of long. Boston is 3.
Mm-hmm.
They can spread the floor with or without KP. All of their players can hit threes. They all can defend. I think Lively and Gafford ought to have big nights, but if they're out on the perimeter, then that leaves Tatum and Brown available to drive. And again, I can see Boston blowing the Mavericks out one game. I can't see them blowing them out every game because they got the firepower to do it. But at the same time, they got immense pressure to close it out. We got the closers. Right. If I ask you right now, Tatum, Brown, Kyrie, Luka, game on the line, last shot, which one of the 4 you want to take?
Luka.
Okay, also, game, I was asking this to Devin Harris. He said 3 or 2. And I said 3. He said Luka. I said 2. He said Kyrie. I said free throw. He said Kyrie. So, again, those are the guys you trust. So I love the fact that it could be the Mavericks in 6. But if the Celtics win it, I'm not disappointed. I mean, I'm not surprised. I would be disappointed, but I'm not. I mean, they're supposed to.
Right. They've been favored from day one. Nobody had the Mavericks.
And they have and guess what? Joe Mazzulla against Jason Kidd the last 2 years, 4-0. Guess what?
Yeah.
Kyrie has not beaten the Celtics the last 10 times.
Yeah.
So again, but I'm thinking the Mavericks got what it takes, and they're the most dangerous team in these playoffs. And they've proven it. Bet against them if you want.
And they playing with house money.
That's the number one thing.
They're playing with house money.
That's why they were able to celebrate. I was up there in Minnesota with them. They were able to celebrate that Western Conference championship because guess what? You can have this because the series against the Celtics doesn't start for another week,
Right.
and we know you can focus again,
Right.
and you earned it.
Right.
They truly deserve a chance to celebrate. For the Celtics, they had to get back to business, even if it's just practice. They get back to business because guess what? That meant nothing to them. Winning the East meant nothing to them. They had done it before.
Yeah, that's like the Cowboys making the playoffs. Nobody cares anymore. Just you got to win.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
So
I'll try how many times you go 12-5.
Yeah.
Have you been to the NFC Championship game? No, let alone the Super Bowl. Well, I always say the Cowboys, and again, real simple. What have you done in the 21st century?
like my kids.
All them Super Bowls and NFC, that was 20th century.
Yeah.
There are people alive today, cover the Cowboys, ain't never seen them win a Super Bowl.
I try to tell my two boys about the Cowboys heydays, and they like, we don't see that. So I don't know what to tell you, right? So but yeah, I have the Mavs in 6. The role players, I'm gonna say the same thing I said about the Minnesota series. The role players are gonna have to step up. PJ Washington is gonna have to step up. Jones
Jr.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Derek Lively second and Derek Jones Jr. D. Jones.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm only nervous with the two big men when it does come on the defensive side because again, Porzingis and my mind's going blank. Horford. They can go back and hit threes like you say. So it's going to be a little difference versus playing a cat and playing Rudy Gobert. Who's trying. I'm not even gonna get into him right now. But what type of defensive matchups? Who do you see on each other? Because last time they played, or the last 2 times they played, Luka was he was guarding Brown for most of the game, and that just didn't work.
I can see them putting PJ on Brown, but I can see Brown on Luka.
I see PJ on Tatum, and I see Derek on Brown.
I'm seeing Derek on. I'm seeing Derek on Tatum, and again, picking poison because Brown's a little bit bulkier, and I can see PJ, pushing him around a little bit. With Tatum, I know he's big. Don't get me wrong; he got the length, but Derek Jones be jumping through the roof. And again, we're talking about 2 guys that are great players. It's not like to me they're much more talented than Minnesota.
So is it Kyrie on Drew, Luka on KP, and Horford on whoever's starting at center for the Mavericks? Is that how you seeing it? Okay.
Yeah.
I would prefer. Again, I'm not a coach. You're at the games more than me. I would prefer to put PJ on Tatum at least for game 1.
That can happen. Don't get me wrong. And again, they're gonna mix it up, and there'll be zones they use. They use 5 different zones. Yeah. So that's what they do. That's the brilliance of this team. They all committed.
Yeah. And with that, I haven't seen anything in the playoffs. Like you said, they won 12 or 14 games. But as far as the playoffs is concerned, I went back and watched all their games. Nothing really
impressed you.
Yeah, it doesn't really
scare
me about it.
that's why it's like it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
It's put like this. They won those games, but they haven't been dominant, like blowing through everybody. Right. 12 out of 14 games. It's like, okay, they got lucky on that one. Okay. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Without
it's not
the
like
stars.
Don't get me wrong. I totally respect the hell out of Boston.
Facts.
But they got a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, so with the pressure factor, Dallas playing with house money, Dallas just being as talented and athletic as they are. Shout out to Nico Harrison because he built the team for now and for 5 years down the road. So shout out to Nico Harrison again, man. And I know more changes are coming next year. So we'll get into that after the finals. But I have the Mavs in 6 because they know in their mind, in my opinion, that they can't go to a game 7 with Boston. Because if it goes game 7 in Boston, you're most likely going to lose.
Oh, listen to this.
Go ahead.
They've done this 4 group of Celtics have done something that no other Boston Celtics team has done in history. They have lost 2 game 7 in Boston. That had never happened before.
Yeah. And I watched.
So like I said, they don't trust them in Boston.
I understand. Rightfully
game 7,
so.
I'm like, it's a coin flip in my mind.
Rightfully so. I do want to play the factor that Tatum and them, they were just there last year. And normally when you go a year before and you go right back, you normally, know what to do and you end up winning the next year around. But it's just something about this series that I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous at all. And
like you said, we've said it a number of times, a number of different ways.
yeah.
There's nothing else to say. Both of us picking the Mavs in 6, and we're gonna see how it goes. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much for joining. I was more nervous for the last series. Actually, they ended up winning that in 5. So, man, let the people know where they can find you on social media and how to keep up with you.
Very easy. At Mr. Chris Arnold. That's that simple.
Bow, there it is.
On all the platforms.
Bow, there it is. Mr. Chris Arnold, multi-time Radio Hall of Famer, voice of the American Airlines Center. You will see him on a Jumbotron if you decide to go and spend that money on the finals tickets because they cost. They cost. So
hey, we're having a game watching party too for every game that they're on the road in Boston. So come to the American Airlines Center and check it out.
Bow, come out and you'll see them there. I said Mavs in 6. What was your final game? And did you have them in 6 as well?
Yeah, I have them in 6. Both of us agree.
Okay, so Bow, Mavs in 6. I just wanted to make sure we had that clear before I let you go. Thank you so much for joining, man. It's a pleasure as always having you. I know we kind of went over time, but we talk so.
You know we do.
Yeah, it's not. If we talked more, we probably wouldn't go over time. We have a lot to catch up on when we talk, but I'll keep an eye out on what's going on. Hopefully, I'll see you at the game if I'm there. I don't know. Shout out to Guitar Slayer. That's my boy, man. I've been knowing him for 16 years.
Yeah,
killing it. So, shout out
Justin
to him.
is a beast.
Yeah, man. Justin is amazing, man. So, shout out to. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody. Shout out DJ Avi, everybody that's watching on YouTube, watching on DopeContent.com. We appreciate your support as we continue to try to grow this brand here that is Dope Content, the umbrella that has many different platforms and podcasts under Dope Content. I'm on my way to the Dallas Wings Vegas Aces game to watch Asia Wilson, Enrique Agumbawale, and all them go at it, man. So once again, thank y'all so much for joining. And to Chris, man, much love to you, much respect. Go Mavs in 6, and I hope y'all have a great day. We out.